Hi, hi, hello, hi, hello, hi, hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome all of you to today's webinar on industry ready skills for clinical research, clinical data management, and pharmacovigilance. I am Arundhati Chatterjee, your host for today's session. On behalf of the entire team of Pharmagen DRX, I would like to thank each one of you for taking time to join us today. The pharmaceutical and healthcare industries are witnessing remarkable growth, creating exciting opportunities for pharmacy students and life science graduates. However, employers today seek candidates who possess not only academic knowledge but also practical industry ready skills. Clinical research, clinical data management, and pharmacovigilance are among the fastest growing sectors in healthcare. These domains play a critical role in drug development, patient safety, regulatory compliance, and healthcare innovation. Today's webinar is designed to provide participants with the practical insights into these career pathways and help them to understand the skills, responsibilities, and opportunities available in the each field. Let us now begin with our first session on clinical research. Our first speaker today is Ms. Shreya Patankar, a clinical research professional currently associated with CRIO. In her role, she contributes to clinical trial operations, research coordination, and healthcare data management, supporting the efficient execution of clinical studies. Her experience includes clinical research process, study documentation, regulatory compliance, and data quality management. Through her work at CRIO, she is helping advance technology driven clinical research while ensuring accuracy, efficiency, and patient centric outcomes in healthcare. We are delighted to have her with us today. Ma'am, the virtual stage is now yours. We'll wait for a few minutes till ma'am joins with us. It is now my privilege to introduce our distinguished guest speaker, Mr. Shomik Laha, Assistant Professor in the Department of Pharmacy at Adams University. As we know, sir, uh, he is a dedicated academician and mentor who has guided numerous pharmacy students in their academic and professional journeys. Through his teaching, mentorship, and industry oriented approach, he continues to inspire the future healthcare professionals. Today, he will share valuable insights on our career development, professional growth, and industry expectations for pharmacy and healthcare students regarding these courses, clinical data management, pharmacovigilance. Sir, we are honored by your presence. The virtual stage is now yours.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Arundhati. Good morning, everyone, first of all. So, today's webinar on the industry ready skill on the clinical research, clinical data management, and as well as the pharmacovigilance. So, if we'll tell that what is the basically in the healthcare IT, mostly we can get these three domains. And in this three domain, mostly students have the interest to go into pharmacovigilance, and nowadays there are the chances to go for the meteorovigilance, that is a medical device study. So pharmacovigilance is the drug related study where we are normally deal with the adverse drug reaction, adverse event, and clinical data management that is directly correlated to the clinical research, and clinical research that is somehow that is not directly to the IT. This is a mixing of the field-based job as well as you need to do the work on the IT also. So I just want to tell something that in the last 3-4 years, I have observed that the demand of the clinical research, clinical data management, pharmacovigilance has increased too much. And you can observe one thing, in the last year, in the budget also, from the central government, they have announced the thousands clinical research site in India. So, ma'am, okay, so I will call to the ma'am. So the thing is that nowadays in the India and as well as in outside of the world also, the study of the drug, that adverse drug reaction study that has been increased. Why? Because whenever we're taking any medicines, that is very problematic that if we will face any undesirable effect. I'm taking the medicine and after that I am facing something problem. I'm just telling in a layman language that facing something problem. So what we will do? We will report to the concerned authority. Whenever we are reporting to the concerned authority will take care within the some time period that what the problem is going on. Suppose I am taking one medicine and not only me, lakhs of people, thousands of people, so they are taking the medicine and they are, after that, they are facing something problem. So what we can do? We should do that, we should report that, and in the pharmacovigilance associate you need to work directly with this team where you will report that, so you will get the lot of opportunity in the clinical research, clinical data management, and the pharmacovigilance. So nowadays in Kolkata, Hyderabad, Bangalore, many companies are coming, maybe some MNC companies and also some local companies of the Indian companies, they are also working directly with the clinical research. They are most of the CRO, SMO is working, and for the CDM and the pharmacovigilance, many IT companies, they are those who are doing the consulting, as well as the CRO companies is also there, where they are doing the direct study of the drug. Okay, so I am not longing my this one, so I am just forwarding this to our next speaker. So I will come again. So now over to the Arundhati. So please welcome to the Sriya ma'am. Thank you everyone.
Thank you, sir. Our first speaker today is Ms. Shriya Patankar, a clinical research professional currently associated with CRIO. We welcome you, ma'am, to the stage. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much. Firstly, very good morning, everyone. I'll introduce myself. My name is Shriya Patankar. I have completed my MSc in biotechnology, so I am from a very core life science background, like you people. And I have done my, postgraduate diploma in clinical research, clinical data management, and pharmacovigilance. I hope I'm audible to everyone. If
Yes, ma'am.
Everyone just will give a thumbs up. Yes. Okay. Thank you. So today, I'm working as a clinical research professional. So I'm working with CTMS. Okay. So CTMS is basically clinical trial management system, and I'm working as a study design and support specialist. Okay. Study design. So I basically design clinical trial protocols for different sponsors. So I'll share my screen and begin with the presentation. Like what is clinical research? So we will just go start from the basics. I'll just give you an overview, and also I'll just tell you regarding the career prospects. Okay. Let me know my screen is visible to everyone. Is it visible? Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So yeah. So firstly, I'll begin with a very basic question. So being a life science professional, it's always hard, to choose the career path because we actually think of only two or three career prospects or two or three career opportunities. Like we can work in a lab, or we can do lecturership, or we can do PhD. So that becomes very difficult to choose a career path. So we have a very good career opportunity that is related to the clinical research. So many people have heard about the clinical research, and many people may not have heard what is clinical research. So I'll just give you a very practical example. Before 2 or 3 years ago, like before 4 years ago, we encountered a very fatal disease that is COVID-19. Okay, so the world was just fighting with COVID-19 disease, and at that time multiple trials were carried out, and then we were vaccinated because of that trials. So that trials just began with the very basic phases. So at that time the clinical research was just boosted. Okay, so clinical research is a life savior field, we can say it. And now I'll just start with my presentation. What is clinical research? So clinical research is an organized research on human being intended to provide adequate information on the drug as a therapeutic agent, on its safety and efficacy. It generates data for discovering and verifying the clinical, pharmacological, including pharmacodynamic and pharmacokinetic and adverse effects, with the objective of determining safety and efficacy of a new drug. So basically, what is clinical research? It is an organized research on human beings. So we actually do research of a certain or specific drug on human beings, and then it is marketed. So before the clinical research, before that we, just do any kind of experiment on the humans, there is a sort of preclinical trials. Okay, preclinical means the trials or the studies or the research that is being carried out on animals. So after it is successful on animals, then we just perform it on human beings. So clinical research is an organized research that is done on human beings. Okay, and we use the drug as a therapeutic agent. So here I'll give you a very basic example. Suppose in India, BP and sugar, diabetes and blood pressure, these are the most common diseases that we have, that we see to our in our surrounding, to within our family members as well. Most of your family members may be suffering from this kind of disease. So what happens is each and every day there is a new drug that is coming up in the market related to the blood pressure or related to the diabetes. Okay, so what happens is we basically compare the drug. Okay, so like the drug that is originally that is in the market and the drug that is to be launched in the market. So we compare this to both the type of drugs. So contents are same. Content may be same, but we just do research, or we just do trials on the human beings for both of these drugs. Okay, and then whatever works better, that is launched into the market. Okay, so it is basically study on the drug. So what we do is, suppose now I'm a sponsor. Okay, I'm a pharma company. Sponsor is basically a pharma company. You may have heard name of the Pfizer. You may have heard name of the serums. These are basically the pharma company, Sun Pharma. So it's a different pharma company. They basically do research. They prepare a drug. They make a drug, and then they launch it into the market. Okay, so before launching it into the market, we have to undergo a certain phases. Okay, certain phases of clinical trial. We have to undergo certain tests. Okay, so when we pass out this test, then only the drug is launched into the market. Okay, so what happens when we suppose I am a pharma company. I belong from a Sun Pharma name pharma company. I'm bringing a drug into the market. So I'm bringing a tablet into the market. So before I bring a tablet into the market, what I will do is I'll just launch. I'll just perform the trial on that. I'll just I'll just, research it on a healthy volunteers, okay? And then I'll just verify the results. And if that my drug goes well, if my drug works well, then I'll launch it into the market. It's a basic procedure. So how it goes on, how that procedure goes on, it procedure basically goes on into the 4 phases that will come to know in our next, okay? Phases of clinical research. So these are the different phases. So now I'm a pharma company. I have launched a drug related to BP. So firstly, in the first phase, I evaluate safety. I will determine the safety dose, and then I will identify the side effects. This happens in the first phase, and this is carried out in healthy volunteers, almost from 100 to 300 pool. Then in the phase 2, we test effectiveness, and then we further evaluate the safety. If this one is passed, then we move to the second phase. Okay, second phase. In second phase, if our first phase goes well, like in our first phase, the population pool for the trial is 100 to 300. And then in our second phase, we increase the population pool if this goes well. We test the effectiveness and safety. And then in third phase, we confirm effectiveness. Then we also monitor side effects. So phase 3 is very important because each and every drug, if it has advantages, it has disadvantages as well. If it has good effects, then if it has side effects as well. Okay. So what we do in phase 3, we just monitor the side effects and then we compare to the other treatment as well. We collect the information. And then in phase 4, if all these phases, just go well, then in the last phase, we do it for approval. Like before our drug is launched in the market, we have to undergo some kind of documentations. We have to undergo some kind of approval. We have to undergo some kind of risk, benefits, and use. So we just, undergo some kind of approvals, and after that, the drug is launched into the market. Okay, so these are basically the 4 phases of the clinical trials. In first phase, we evaluate safety, evaluate dose, and in first phase, we have a limited pool of up to 300 to 400 patients. Then in second phase, if the first phase is successful, we increase the patient, okay, and then we test the effectiveness and safety. In third phase, we have to monitor the side effects as well as we have to compare the drug with the drug that is launched into the market, that is working currently to the market. Our drug is not launched, but we have many, kind of drugs for BP, like the drug that is already into the market versus that we are going to launch. So we just compare it to the other treatments. We just collect the information, and in the fourth one, we just approve that, and then we market it into the market. Okay, we just launch it into the market. Sorry. So these are about the phases of the clinical trials. Then next is I'll move to the next slide. So India is the hub of clinical research, and demand is very increasing rapidly, because in India, why is India is the hub of clinical research? Because in India, we have lot of diseases, okay, multiple diseases that are coming up along with BP, sugar. We have different kind of diseases. We have most of the cancer patients as well in India. And clinical trials are mostly carried on the cancer patients because we are searching for a very effective drug that can control the cancer, okay, that can just stop the reoccurrence of the cancer. Okay, so India is a hub for clinical research because we have a lot of population and we have diseases as well into our population. So that is the thing, and we are always doing a research. We are always looking for a new drug. Okay. Then domains of clinical research. We have different types of domains of clinical research. Now let's just move towards the career prospects. But before that, I'll just ask you people that have you understood about the phases of the clinical trials and what is the clinical research is basically. If you have any questions, we can just stop for 1 minute and we can take the questions. If anyone is having any kind of questions or any kind of doubts, like what is exactly clinical research and what are the phases of clinical research, we can just take a pause of 1 or 2 minutes. So is anybody having any kind of doubts or any questions related to this? We can just take that. Any doubts? Hello? Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am. If anyone have any doubt, please write it in the comment section. We'll take up your question and communicate to ma'am.
Yeah. Any questions?
Ma'am, Ma'am, you can continue this. You can continue. Actually, after completing your session, so after that, they will will do the questions. So we'll make the questions from the student. Okay.
Okay, fine. We will have a Q&A session at the last. Okay, I'll continue with my presentation. So as I've told you, India is a hub of clinical research because we have a lot of population and we have diseases equivalent to the population, and we are mostly looking for different kind of drugs, different kind of medicines. Okay, so domains of clinical research. We have different kind of domains. We have clinical trial process operations. We have clinical data management, pharmacovigilance domain. Sorry. Okay, then regulatory affairs and business development. Now let's start with clinical trial operations. Okay, so clinical research is a study of the effects, drugs, efficacy, and benefits of a medicinal product. Okay, what is clinical research? It is a scientific study of the effects, drugs. What are the effects of the drug? What are the benefits of the drug? Okay, how the drug will work. So clinical research is basically a study of monitoring the effects of a particular drug, its benefits, its efficacy, its side effects. Okay, so these are carried out prior to the release of medicine. As I've told you, before launching any kind of medicine, the medicine undergoes a research, and that is related to the risk, benefit, safety, and efficacy. Okay, so we have phase 1 to 4. Then we have trial site, then we have project planning and setup, we have medical report writing, we have regulatory affairs, and DCGI. DCGI is basically Drug General Control of India. Okay, and what we do is before launching drug, before we start any kind of trial, we generally file an application to the DCGI. Okay, so this is basically a scientific study, and in clinical trial operations, phase 1 to 4, like we can plan the phases here. Then we have trial site. We can work on the trial site. You can work on the trial site. Then we have project planning and setup. So for carrying out any kind of clinical trials, we need to do certain kind of planning. We need to follow, certain kind of SOP, that is standard of operating procedures. We need to plan certain things. We need to look for the facilities. So most importantly, whenever we select a site for the clinical research, site is basically a hospital. Okay, so in our clinical research language, we say site to the hospital. Okay, hospital is named as site in our language. So basically, when we start a clinical trial in any kind of site, so what is the basic need is, what we need to do is we need to select a site that is with that is having complete facilities, because whenever we are just doing research on the individuals or doing research on the patient, suppose if I am launching a drug for cancer patients, okay, so they are already having an issue of cancer, so we need to provide them best of the facilities. We need to provide them certain facilities, like in our in wherever we'll be doing the clinical trials, like in that is the hospital. Okay, so in whichever hospital will be doing the clinical trials, that should be that should having certain facilities like ICU, ventilators, then that should be clean. The hospital should be clean. Hospital should have deep freezers for storing the medicines. Hospital should have good bedded, or hospital should have ICU for any kind of emergency situation. Hospital should have ventilators. Hospital should have the facilities of oxygen masks. Okay, because why we are looking for a very good site with embedded with good facilities, because we are working on such kind of severe disease and we cannot risk the life of the patients. Okay, because we don't know, we are just studying that drug, we are doing research of that drug in a particular individual, and anything can happen over there, like any kind of adverse effect or events or any kind of bad events can occur. So we should be ready. We cannot play with the life of the patients. So that's why our site should be advanced. We should be having very good facilities for the patient care. So patient care and patient safety is utmost important in clinical research, in clinical trials. We just cannot, take it lightly. So we have to select a site that is proper, that is having very good facilities related to the patient care. So that is the site selection process, and that is also comes under the clinical trial operation, that is project planning and setup. Then next is a medical report writing. It's a kind of different field, medical report writing, like we write a medical report. Okay, so it also comes under clinical operations, and we have regulatory affairs. So regulatory affairs is basically whenever we start a clinical research, we need to file certain kind of documents. Okay, so we need to file certain kind of documents to the government, to the Drug Control General of India. Okay, so that is regulatory documents. Okay, so that documents we need to maintain from the start till the end of the clinical trials. Okay, so we have different role for that. Documentary role. We have regulatory affairs manager, or we have regulatory affairs management. So that is basically comes under the clinical trial operations. Okay, so these are the different kind of roles that come under clinical trial operations. Then next is pharmacovigilance. Okay, so pharmacovigilance is one of the field of the clinical trials. Like we have seen about clinical domains of clinical research. Clinical data management is also one of the domain. Then we are moving towards pharmacovigilance. Okay, pharmacovigilance is basically a discipline that is concerned with identifying, quantifying, evaluating, and minimizing the adverse effect of the medicine by increasing the safety of drugs in the use. Okay, so basically pharmacovigilance is pharmaco and vigilance. If I break these two words, pharmaco and vigilance. So pharmaco belongs to a drug and vigilance is monitoring. Okay, so monitoring a particular drug. That is the meaning of the pharmacovigilance. Okay, I guess am I audible to everyone? Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Okay, so we are breaking this word into two parts: pharmaco and vigilance. Okay, so we are monitoring the effects of the drug. So what we do in pharmacovigilance is we minimize the adverse effect of a medicine that we have launched to the market, minimizing the adverse effect of our study drug. So we are evaluating our study drug. We are minimizing the adverse effect of the drug. So we have to just in pharmacovigilance, we just collect the data that is related to the adverse event of the drug. Suppose if I'm giving a BP medicine, I have launched a BP medicine, and I am just giving that medicine to my patients. But the patients, I have given that medicine to the 100 patients, but 100 out of 20 patients have faced some kind of adverse event. Adverse event means they have faced some kind of side effects related to that BP medicine. Like some are having headache, some are having vomiting, some are feeling nauseatic, some are feeling dizziness. Okay, some are feeling some are undergoing depression. Some are undergoing depression due to that drug. Okay, so these are basically the side effects of the drug. So what happens? What we do in pharmacovigilance is we just monitor that side effects. We, just study that side effects. We keep the data of that side effects, and then we submit it to the sponsor or to our pharma company who is launching that drug, so that they can just look for the side effects. And whenever now they will launch the tablet, they will keep in mind that side effects. Like, yeah, in previously we have encountered this kind of side effects, and now we need to minimize that side effects by launching a drug for that particular disease. Okay, so that is the role in pharmacovigilance. We basically monitor the side effects, and we basically evaluate the side effects, and we basically minimize it. Okay, so this is the thing that we just do in pharmacovigilance. Risk management plan, risk benefit analysis. SAE is serious adverse event and adverse event management, responding to regulatory inquiries, signal generation, signal detection. So risk management plan. So whenever we are undergoing clinical trials, so whenever we are giving the medicines to the patients, so we have to look for the risk as well as benefits. So risk and benefits both should be monitored while we encounter a particular drug or while we launch a particular drug in the market. What are the risks of that drug as well as what are the benefits of that drug? So we need to manage the risk. We need to do risk management. We need to do risk benefit analysis. Okay. Risk benefit analysis, it comes under pharmacovigilance. Risk benefit analysis, that what is the risk for that drug and what are the benefits of that drug. Both we need to manage equally. Then SAE and AE management. So serious adverse event and adverse event management. As I have told you, adverse event can occur at any phase of the trial, any time of the trial. We just can't predict it when they will occur, but they can occur at any time of the trial. Okay, we just can't comment when they will occur. So we need to have a good plan for managing the adverse event and serious adverse event. Then we need to respond to signal generation and signal detection, regulatory authorities for signal generation and signal detection. So these are the different kinds of clinical domains or domains related to the clinical trial. So pharmacovigilance is one of them. So you need to just understand here one thing, that pharmacovigilance is related to the risk and benefits of the clinical trial. Basically, we are monitoring the risk and how can we lower the risk? How can we lower the adverse effect? How can we lower the side effect of a particular drug? That is basically done in the pharmacovigilance. And we have different kinds of career prospects in pharmacovigilance as well. Like you can work as a risk management officer, you can work in SAE management, like serious adverse event management. You can work as a signal detection and signal generation. If it is one of the term related to pharmacovigilance. But as of now, you understand what is pharmacovigilance is managing the risk, managing the side effects, and lowering the side effects of our study drug. That is what is related to the pharmacovigilance. Okay, I will move towards the next. Career prospects. Now, the most important thing in clinical research, like which kind of job opportunities you can opt in clinical research. We have a wide scope of opportunities in clinical research. Okay, we have different kind of job opportunities. Firstly is CRA, that is Clinical Research Associate. You can go for Drug Safety Associate, that is related to pharmacovigilance only. You can work as a study coordinator. Study coordinator is basically who manages the study in the hospital, because we will need one person for managing the study in the hospital as well, for managing the patients, okay, for monitoring their adverse events, for managing each and every documentation in the hospital. Okay. Then we have regulatory affairs manager. Regulatory affairs, I have told you earlier, like before undergoing a clinical trial, we need to submit certain kind of documentation for that regulatory document. So we need to submit it to the Drug General Control of India, that is a government. Clinically, are they going on properly? Is the every documentation related to the clinical trial submitted or not? That is basically the job of Drug Control General of India. That is basically look after all these things. All the documentation related to the clinical trials and all the regulatory documentation related to the clinical research. Okay, so regulatory of manager who looks after the clinical trial documentation. Then we have clinical coordinator. That is basically a doctor. So a doctor is a most important point of clinical research. Okay, because he looks after the clinical trials. And data manager, as I've told you, data manager is also one of the most important person in the clinical research. Like he has to manage the clinical trial data. We have a lot of clinical trial data. Actually, we have data related to clinical trials. Which kind of data? Like we have different data related to the patients, related to the different sites, like different hospitals. So we have a tons of data. So we need to manage that data properly. So data manager basically manages the data related to the clinical trials. And we have auditor as well, clinical trials auditor. Now we have that data, but that the audit of that data should be also performed. Audit. What is audit? Like audit is basically a data check. We usually check whether our data is proper or not, or there are any discrepancies in our data, or there are any mistakes in our data. So we need to, just rectify that. We need to just correct that so that our data is properly managed, our data is proper, and we are providing very good data, clean data to the party that is hired. So, okay. So if there is data, then we need to manage the data. We need to audit the data. We need to check the data. So basically, clinical trials auditor checks the data that is managed by the clinical data manager. And CRA, that's Clinical Research Associate. So what is a CRA? CRA is a person that is appointed by a sponsor, that is pharma company. So pharma company basically gives money. Basically, it sponsors the clinical trial. Okay, so he will appoint a person who will look after everything. That is a CRA. What he will look after, CRA will look after the budgeting of the clinical trials, and whatever budget is approved by the pharma company, whatever money is given by the pharma company to the hospital, is it properly managed or not? Is the trial being performed properly or not? So each and everything that is related to the site management, that is a person that is appointed from the sponsor, CRA, Clinical Research Associate. So basically, CRA is a monitor. Why we say CRA monitor? Why we say CRA as well as monitor? We rename the CRA as monitor because he monitors the clinical research side, monitor the clinical research side. Okay, he sees whether the trial is going on properly or not, whether the budgeting or the money that was given for the particular patient, that is given to that patient or not. So basically, he checks and keeps the data of the particular patients. That is the role of a CRA. Then next is career growth in clinical research. So we have to start from CRC. CRC. So this is a kind of career growth. So whenever we are starting any kind of career, so patience is the key. You need to keep patience. You need to keep you need to work hard for any kind of career to build. So same as well works in clinical research as well. You, as I have told you, you can just get a lot of money in this career, but you need to have patience and you need to do just some kind of hard work over here. Okay, so now we'll just see the career steps, how the career goes on. So firstly is CRC, that is clinical research coordinator. This is the person who works in the hospital, okay, who works in the site where the trial is going on, and who manages everything. I'm just sorry, who manages everything related to the trial. Okay, so this is the CRC. Then we have CTA, Clinical Trial Associate. Then we have CRA1, CRA2. Okay. Then we have project management, project manager or data lead. Okay. Then we have trainee process associate. We have junior process associate. Okay. Then we have senior process associate or process lead. Okay. So this is the basically career growth. Okay. Just a moment. Sorry.
Ma'am, your voice is being echoed.
Just a moment.
Okay, after the clinical research, I will request to Preeti ma'am to start the pharmacovigilance session. And Priya ma'am, there are some questions for you. Arundhati, please
I'm
take the
back.
questions. There are the
Sorry.
questions are there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just 1 minute, sir. Actually, I want to present my last slide. Sorry, there was some network glitch at my end. Am I audible now? Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
audible.
You're audible.
Yeah, just last slide. Okay, just last slide. Okay. So, am I visible here? Yes, ma'am, you are visible, but not the screen. Not the screen. Okay, just I think it will be visible. Now, is it visible? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Now it's visible. And can you see career growth in clinical research? Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So sorry. Yeah. Just sorry for the interruption. I'll just take 2 minutes more and then I'll wrap it up. So, as I've told you that patience is the key and hard work is the path. Okay.
So as I've told you that these are the different kind of career growth. Then here trainee, process associate, junior. This is all related to the pharmacovigilance. Okay, and this is trainee, junior safety associate, drug safety associate, team lead, process lead. So starting, if you will start from 16 to 15 to 16,000, you can reach up to 1 lakhs. Okay, and it's not just limited. It's not just limited to money, but you will need some kind of time to grow up here. But as I have told you, there are multiple opportunities in clinical research. You can opt for remote opportunities. You can opt for hybrid opportunities. And one more thing, I'll make it clear here that you can go in IT sector as well. So being from a life science background, we always think that if we have done engineering or if we are from a core coding background, then only we can go in the IT sector. But it is not the case. Most of the companies currently like TCS, Infosys, even Accenture, these are the renowned companies, okay, that also work in clinical research and they offer a very good salary package. So the salary package is the same that is given to any kind of engineers, okay. The IT package, you will get the package that are given to the IT professionals. Same package you will be offered. But the thing is, you need to have a good, roadmap. You need to follow a good roadmap so that you can opt for these different roles. So these are the different kind of roles. And CRA, this is the very basic salary for CRA, 35 to 40,000. But CRA, it is a kind of job that is clinical research associate, is a kind of, job role that you can, just have 60 to 70,000 till 80,000 monthly. Okay. Just the thing is, you need to have some 1 or 2 years of experience as a CRC. Like you need to work in the hospital for almost 1.5 years or 2 years, and you can opt for CRA, and then you can get a very good growth, and then you can, just have a very good money, very good salary package. So the thing is, you need to follow a proper roadmap. And as I've told you, there are multiple opportunities. So CRA can also work remotely. We have an option now open because of the COVID. We have multiple remote opportunities in clinical research. So you can work for a US-based project as well. Okay. Like I am working for a US-based project. My role is basically remote. I'm totally doing work from home. And, there's a very good life, very good career life and very good, just work-life balance in this field. So you just need to choose a very good career. So this is a very good career. Clinical research is a very good career. You need to keep the patience. You need to have patience, and then you can go for a very, very good different roles. Okay, so these are the different kinds of roles and courses that you can opt. Here is clinical research diploma, pharmacovigilance, regulatory affairs, diploma in clinical research, advanced diploma in pharmacovigilance. Okay. So this was something about clinical research. And as I have told you, you just need to follow a good roadmap and you can get multiple opportunities. And nowadays we have hybrid opportunities as well in clinical research. So this is one of the very good advantage of clinical research, and you can get salary packages that are offered to the IT professionals, to the engineers as well. Because engineers also don't get good salary package at the starting. They're also starting from 15 to 20,000, and then slowly they step up, and then they reach to a package of almost 1 lakh. Okay. So you need to do a good pharma company. You can get into a good IT company. Also, you can start from a good, IT company. As I have started, I have worked in a hospital for almost 6 months, and then I joined in an IT company as a TMF professional. Okay, so I was offered the package that an IT professional was offered. Okay, so initially you need to just do hard work, and there are very good career opportunities. As I've told you, there are remote roles, there are on-site roles, there are hybrid roles, and because of the COVID-19, there are multiple remote opportunities. So you need to just put your seatbelts on, and you will have a very, very good career in clinical research. So I guess my session is over now. And thank you for giving me an opportunity to, present clinical research and its opportunities. It was a very good session indeed. And if you have any kind of questions, we can take it. Hello?
Ma'am, we have got 2 questions. One from Isha. So she asked us, as a fresher, if she begins her career in this field, should she start as a clinical research associate or clinical data management? Hello, ma'am. Am I audible?
The clinical research, you need to begin
Ma'am, your voice is not audible.
the as well you can do how the patients are managed,
Sorry to interrupt,
it's
ma'am, but I think your voice is not properly
every
audible
day.
because of the network problem.
Now, is it okay?
Yes, ma'am, it is okay. Ma'am, can you repeat the answer, please?
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, I'll repeat the answer. So, hello? Is it audible?
Yes, ma'am, it is audible, but I think because of the network issue, the voice is coming not coming properly.
You need to start from the hospital only. You need to work as a clinical research that links to the hospital only. Opt for the different opportunities for 6 months or 3 months as well.
Ma'am,
Hospital and then you
we couldn't get your answer properly because of the network issue.
hospital or you need to from the mobile. Now am I audible?
Yes,
am I
ma'am, you're audible, but the voice is being echoed.
Yeah, now it is proper, I guess. Yeah.
Yes, it is proper. Ma'am, can you please repeat the answer because we couldn't
Yes. No worries. I'll repeat my answer. So what I was saying is, what the question she asked was, so the answer to this is like, you can just opt for hospital role. First, you need to take training in the hospital. Okay, for 3 to 4 months also you can take the training. Why it is necessary to take the training in the hospital? Because whatever the basic of the clinical research that is linked to the hospital. So you can just, just start your training from the hospital. You can just work there for 3 to 4 months and then you can opt for different roles. Because in the hospital, you will get to know that how the patients are treated, how the patients are managed, whatever kind of documentation is done. So each and everything lies in the hospital only. So you need to just do proper on-site training for 3 to 4 months and then you can move forward to different roles. So begin your career with CRC. I will suggest because it's the same thing I have followed, the same roadmap I have followed. I have begun my career as a CRC, clinical research associate. I have worked in the hospital for almost 6 months and then I opted for different roles in the IT company. So start your career as a CRC, firstly, if possible. Okay. But if you get an opportunity of working in a good company at the initial phase, then you can do that also. That is also good. But according to me, you should have some kind of on-site training and then only you can go for a good role so that you will have a good knowledge of what happens actually into the clinical research. I think I have answered your question.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. We have next question from Gungun. She asked what skills one should improve if he or she is choosing pharmacovigilance as a career option.
Okay. So if you are choosing pharmacovigilance as a career option, firstly, you should, the skill, whatever career you are choosing, you should have a very good kind of communication and you should have a very good knowledge about the adverse event. Okay. So in pharmacovigilance, the most important thing is we should know, like you need to just opt, you need to take the course of the pharmacovigilance, what happens exactly in the pharmacovigilance, how the adverse event is being reported. So that each and everything you will get to know from the course itself. And secondly, is you should have a good communication. You should be confident. That is a very basic thing. But in pharmacovigilance, you should understand that what are the terms, because there are different kinds of terms in the pharmacovigilance. Okay, pharmacovigilance is a little bit complicated. So you need to monitor that terms. You need to learn that terms. And then whenever you file an adverse event in the pharmacovigilance, you should know that what kind of adverse event you are, you are filing it in. So it is very important that you should take firstly the course that's related to the pharmacovigilance, and then you can go that way. Okay. Because there are very small terms in the pharmacovigilance that you should understand for filing a adverse event report. Got it? I think I've answered this question. Any more doubts?
Yes, ma'am. We have two more questions. Then we can close this session. Can anyone join this career opportunity completely remote or work from home from very beginning?
Yes, you can do. You can do as well. Not necessary. As I've told you, that it is better if you will start your career from working on site, working in the hospital, but you can start your career opportunities by remote. Like we have remote opportunities as well. You can work remotely as a fresher as well. That kind of opportunities are also there in clinical research, and that are launched just 2 to 3 years before only. Okay, earlier it was not the case, but nowadays it is the case. You can join remotely as well. You can start your career as a fresher in clinical research by working remotely as well. Okay, so it is not necessary. But why I have suggested you that you should work in the hospital, because you will get good knowledge, you will get basic knowledge that what happens, how the trials are conducted, so that you can, you will be very confident when you go for multinational companies or multinational CROs, so that you will not have any kind of doubts or confusions regarding the process about the clinical trials, how the clinical trials is conducted. That's why I've suggested you that you should start your career from the hospital. But yeah, nowadays you are getting multiple career opportunities, and very good remote opportunities are also there for freshers to initiate their career. So you have that opportunities nowadays. So that is very physical. You can start over by working remotely as well.
Okay, now the last question. They're asking how can they arrange for internship in hospitals? How should they start?
You can join the clinical research course, and then they will only provide you for internships in the hospital. So if you will join the course, they will give you complete package. As I've told you, 6 months package, 3 months package, and according to that, you will get an on-site internship in the hospital as well. Or else, if not possible, you can just go into the hospitals, and in hospitals, they carry out the clinical trials personally as well, because doctors are involved in the clinical trials. Okay, so doctors are also benefited by that. They are, paid for performing the clinical trials. So you can opt for the course as well, but or you can just find it individually. But what I will suggest is opt for the course, because you will be trained for each and everything. You will be trained on each and every term. Like I have, previously, one of the students has asked a question regarding the pharmacovigilance. So pharmacovigilance is quite difficult. You need to just put attention to detail, and you need to put attention on the terms, different terms that are present in the pharmacovigilance. So if you will opt a proper course, you will get a complete package related to the clinical research, clinical data management, pharmacovigilance, as well as you will get an opportunities of doing internship in the different hospitals. So you should take a proper course. Proper knowledge. You should have proper knowledge in clinical research. Then only you can move forward. Okay, you should, because it's related to the patient lives. So we just can't risk patient lives. So you should have proper knowledge, basic knowledge from the beginning itself. And if you will opt a course, it will be easy for you to get multiple opportunities. You can work in hospitals. You can work in different companies. So opting a course is more better than exploring individually. That is what I will suggest you here.
Okay, I just want to share one thing with the ma'am's note that Pharmagen DRX has providing one course regarding the clinical research, clinical data management, and the pharmacovigilance. And our prospect is like that you should go to the internship. If you don't go to the internship, then how you can learn that what is they actually practically doing. So mostly students, those who are interested for the internship in this course, we have sent them to the different hospitals in all over India, and they have learned from there the practical aspects, what the clinical trial is going on, different phase, what need to do. So after and also the online classes is going on. So this is the complete package where you will gain the knowledge theoretically as well as practically. I think what is the actually that is a missing in the others area and also in the college, university, and a different area. So you can avail the course. So after completing this session, we will send the course details also. So those who are interested, those who really want to make their career in the clinical research, they can avail this course. That will be a very good opportunity from them. And obviously we will tell that how you can build up your career in the clinical research by one, how you can make your opportunity. And during the graduation time, that is very important, that from the first year, second year, third year, how you will design that, the design of your career, that will make successful career. So that's why in the second year or the third year, if you will do some hospital internship, or in the internship in the SMO or the CRO, when you will be graduated, completing your degree, then you can get the job in the clinical research very easily, because they need the trained person. If you are the fresher, you don't have the any knowledge how the hospitals is going on the clinical research or the clinical data management. So if you will go there, so you are the just fresh, that you don't know anything, but you have the internship, then at least you know the environment, at least you can feel that environment is suitable for you or not. So that's why we are also providing the internship. So later, I think later from our team, they will provide you that
Yes.
link, that how you can join this course. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Go back
I
to
will,
Arundhati.
I will also just put a last point on the sir's note, that practical knowledge is very important than theoretical knowledge. So in clinical research, practical knowledge matters the most. So that's why I will suggest you go for a good course, go for good practical knowledge, and then I can guarantee you that you will surely succeed in this clinical research, in your clinical research career. So gaining practical knowledge and gaining hands-on training is very important in clinical research. So go for a good course rather than exploring individually. So thank
Exactly,
you so
exactly,
much.
ma'am, exactly. Yeah. So about
Thank you so
Arundhati,
much.
and please proceed to the next speaker, please, Arundhati.
It was a very
Thank
good session. Thank you everyone
Yeah,
for
thank you, ma'am.
participating.
Thank you for this wonderful session, and you have explained everything. I think student got everything, and obviously, I think after that, student who will be there will be some query. You can send us to the WhatsApp also, as well as in the mail also. So already we have provided our mail ID, so we will provide you the proper answer what you can do.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All the best everyone. Bye bye. Have a good day ahead. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for that insightful session on clinical research. I am sure the participants have gained valuable knowledge regarding the clinical research industry and opportunities it has to offer. Thank you. We now move to our next technical session of the day on pharmacovigilance. Our speaker is Ms. Preeti Kundu, currently working as an operations specialist at IQVIA. She possesses expertise in drug safety surveillance, adverse event case processing, and regulatory compliance. Through her work, she plays an important role in ensuring the patient safety and maintaining high standards in pharmacovigilance operations. Her professional journey highlights the growing importance of pharmacy professionals in global healthcare and drug safety monitoring. We are delighted to have her with us today. Ma'am, the virtual stage is now yours.
Thank you, Arundhati, for introducing me so well. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. I'm sharing my screen. Let me know if you all can able to view it.
Yes, ma'am, you're
Can you see
visible.
my screen. Okay, thank you. Am I visible as well?
Your screen is visible, ma'am.
I think my video is not yet connected somehow. Okay. Anyways, just start. Okay. Maybe I'm not able to connect my video, so apologies for the same. However, I'm just so today what we are going to discuss it here is a detailed scope of, though I know that in the last presentation she has covered most all of the perspective, career growth, everything. However, just to brief into this and more dig into this. So today our topic is about the how we can enter into the pharmacovigilance field. What are the scope that is needed to be entered into the pharmacovigilance fields and in India basically. So I'm starting from the discussion and a warm welcome to everyone. So from the very beginning we're going to start is what actually the pharmacovigilance is. I just put a WHO definitions over here. That is It is a science and the activities relating to the detection, assessment, and the prevention of the adverse effect of any and the other medicine related problems. So there are 4 steps which we are going to follow and which are supposed to follow for the pharmacovigilance, because pharmacovigilance is basically, it's an invisible shield, right, to protect the patient and their health globally, and of course right here in India as well. So we explore it in a vast, and it is a very critical skill, and right now the pharmacovigilance industry is a blooming industry, and there is a career roadmap also lies over there. uh, Additionally, when you are entering into these pharmacovigilance fields, there are these 4 things which we needs to follow. That is, one is the detection, then assessment, then understanding, and the prevention. How we can do all these things? So the first thing, what is the detection. It is a signal detection of the ADRs from a spontaneous report or a database. That means is when a medicine is in your bedside till the medicine is come into your database. So this is how the process is working. Now, if you think that why this detection is needed, why the assessment, all the thing is needed, because it will spotify actually the safety signals from the spontaneous report. Suppose I'm calling to a call center and I inform them that, see, I have taking XYZ medication and I have rash in my body or in my hand, anywhere else. So this is called I inform them. I spontaneously inform the patient. Maybe it is a call from a consumer. Maybe there are forms which is used to indicate, or to, it is sometimes it's a mandate for some manufacturers as well to inform about the adverse drug reaction that has happened with the patient. Sometimes we get a report from the clinical trials studies as well, also from the literature sources as well. So all these things are in the detection and the signal detection of the ADRs from spontaneous report that will enter into the database when you're working as a pharmacovigilance associates. Now then, there is an assessment. What we need to assess? We need to assess the causality assessment and the risk benefit evaluation. Now, what is causality? If I give you a gist of the causality, or what if I give you just a normal definition of causality, it is something that you are supposed to determine whether the drug that you are consumed is actually responsible for the event that has happened to you, and for that you have already been reported to the pharma companies or not. So when you are entering into the pharmacovigilance field, being a pharmacovigilance associate, it's your responsibility to assess the causality assessment and the benefit risk evaluation of the safety data. This is your job only. Now there is understanding. So to understand what seriousness of the case is, what seriousness of the event is, you need to be medically sound. So hence the picture is come where the associates from the various colleges who are doing the graduates, they are only pick all those persons who are medically sound, considering B Farm background, pharmacy background, or biotechnologist, or the person who are completed their studies in the genetics. So all they who are medically sound, so those can be entered into this pharmacovigilance field, who has the understanding of the events of the they can analyze the adverse event, they can analyze the mechanism, everything. So that quality has to be there in the particular associates. Then there is a prevention. What is the prevention? We need to minimize the risk. The final motto is to minimize the risk. So we have to work through the pharma companies, through the regulatory authorities, so that we can minimize the risk. We can make a strategy so that the adverse event that being reported by the consumer to the company shouldn't be happen again. There should be some risk minimization factor or the strategies that the pharma companies needs to incorporate in their standards so that these things can be prevented. Okay. Just I'm continuing. If there is any question, you can put it in the chat box so that at the very end we can discuss on all those things. Now coming back to the next slide, where it is a scope of pharmacovigilance. So as you can see over here, I just very shortly I mentioned so that the slides will not be seen as a very boring or lengthy wordings like all these things. So small points I just make it here so that you can get a clarity on what all are the scopes of pharmacovigilance. So over here you can see that there are a lot of things starting from ADR, product quality defects, off-label, drug interaction, medication error, post-marketing surveillance, all the thing has been there. So now what has happened, the scope of PV is far wider because when the drugs or when any kind of any pharma company are researching on their molecules, they are doing in a very closed group of people when they are in a pre-marketing clinical trials, like when they are in a clinical phases from starting from phase 1 to 3. Now when come to when it is marketed, then it is widely spread into the large population where the diversity is there is a complexity, unpredictable things can happen because there are a n number of consumers who are going to take the medication who are suffering from that particular disease, right? So hence the picture is come. So we are supposed to track the side effect and there should be a standard. There should be a standardization. Randomly we can't do this, or any organization, any pharma company, randomly they can't do all these things. So there is a proper standardization documents. There are proper SOP called standard operating procedures. So we have to maintain those. Now what we maintain for this adverse drug reaction, it is a thing where there is a detection, reporting, and the analysis of the unexpected drug is there. Suppose you can see over here an example of the thalidomide. This is the thing, it is being in the history so that the pharmacovigilance widely comes in picture. So if you can take any example, if you took amoxicillin, you have diarrhea. So all these things of adverse events, we are supposed to detect it. We are supposed to enroll it into our database when it comes to us. Okay. Now there is a product quality defect. Now product quality defect is something, so that also we can report it to the pharma company, or it can report it to us, like being a pharmacovigilance associate, where you can identify that there are tampering on any kind of a blister packaging, there are granules are not present maybe in the capsule, or there are any kind of a product quality issue, maybe the suspension is there is a color change in the suspension, anything that happens which is not look normally or in a standard, or it can be mentioned also in the product label or something, then it is called the product quality defect. It's sometimes associated with the interaction or with the events that you may feel in your body, or maybe it's not. So sometimes product quality defects have with events or without events. It will depend. Now there is a drug interaction. Here you can see it is a most widely used example, that is warfarin, aspirin. It is cause a bleeding issue. So these has to monitor. We as a pharmacovigilance associate, we have to monitor this as well. So it is a dangerous combination. So it's a drug interaction. And also sometimes there are other infection as well with the food drug interaction, drug interaction. So all these things are going to be reported as by a consumer to the pharma companies and to the pharmacovigilance associate. So when you are entering into the industry, you have to familiar with all these terminologies. You have to you have to code it when you are going to work on those real worlds. Now there is an example of medication error. What is a medication error? Suppose there are incorrect doses given by the physician, or you as a consumer took it as an incorrect dose, or anything which is not as per mentioned into the label. So those are these medications errors. Now off-label use, you can as you can already being able to understand that what is off-label use. So off-label use is something where the drug is used beyond their approved indication, considering is a metformin in a PCOS. So anything that is not as per the indications, but we use it for our own, by our own choice or by the physicians, then it is called off-label use. And also we have to monitor this. Being a pharmacovigilance associate, I will receive a lot of cases where the off-label use has been reported along with the associated events. So yes, this is very important for these things to be tracked in this world. Now there is a post-marketing surveillance. It's a phase 4 studies I already been discussed because it's a long-term duration. This drug is already been marketed and it's expand to a long populations. Hence, it's our duty to manage all the events that has happened in this post-marketing surveillance. Okay. Now coming to the next slide, that is how ADR report is processing, how PV works. Now when you are took a drug prescribed by your physicians or any from the hospitals. So what is the process flow? So when there is a ADR has been observed, any kind of a reaction that has happened to our body, maybe we can report it to healthcare professional or we can directly fill up the ADR form. So there's a lot of form examples are there. When you will be more enter into these pharmacovigilance courses, you can able to know that what all are the forms are there. Giving you an example, there's a COMS form, MedWatch form, those all things that consumers can directly use those forms, fill that up and send it to the company. The company for the drug is they're using. However, there are some other thing as well, what is called a spontaneous report. They can call, hey, I have feeling these, all that, events. So over there are call center associates are there, though they are from the pharmacovigilance domain as well. With the medically sound people are there, so that they can register there all the events, some like products, name, every details they are noted, and they are submitted to pharmacovigilance program. Now what has happened is a causality assessment, as you can know. So we, being professionals, we are going to assess whether it is related to the drug or not related to the drug. Is it being if the event is resolved, or there is other kind of a drug which also being interacted with these main drugs. So there are a lot of things as there. Now the signal detection and analysis. The signal detection is we have to provide, or we have to use our knowledge so that this causality assessment, whatever assessment we have done, that whether it's related to the drug or not related to the drug or not. So we have to analyze that and we have to submit the data to the regulatory authority. Okay, so these are the causality categories that can happen, which is certain, probable, possible, unlikely. So these are the things when you are being working, so you can able to assess all those things. When we use certain, when we use probable, possible, unlikely. Certain we are using when there is a temporal relationship. Probable is a reasonable temporal relationship. May or may not be. Possible is a may or may not be. Maybe that can possible, and unlikely is a doubtful phase. So these all are the reporting phases. They're how the PVs actually works, starting from patient experiencing the event till to the submit to the regulatory authorities. Now, this is the core skill. This is a very important thing. I know, like, this is a very interesting field also, that what are the skills that is required to being a PV professionals. Now, being a PV professionals, whosoever are from the pharmacy backgrounds, or anyone who are from other biotechnology, genetics, or other any fields of being a BSc graduates, or anywhere, you are supposed to know that how the body anatomy works. What is the pharmacology? You have to understand all those things. So this is also a main skills to be medically and scientifically knowledge. In general, you have to be a medically sound person who know the physiology, anatomy, pharmacology, everything. You have to understand the disease mechanism as well, that how the disease is growing, if it's worsening or not. If it's worsening, what all are the symptoms supposed to be, and also the drug mechanism of actions. It is all these things. I know all these things are there in the pharmacology or the anatomy. So these are the things you have to keep in mind. Now, the next thing what you are supposed to know, or being a PV professional, you can do some internship where you can before enter into any organization, you can just have a an overview on all these things. So how to, so data mining from the safety database, how the databases that are used in the PV industries, those are looks like, how the Udra vigilance look like, how the Argus look like. So all these things you can able to know, or you can, if you do any internship, you can able to know, have an overview from there. Then the regulatory expertise. So these are the guidelines that are widely used in the PV segment, that is ECH2A, E2B, E2E, all these guidelines that all the pharma companies and the PV professionals have to follow while they are doing any kind of cases, they are processing any patient cases. CDSCO Schedule Y, PVPI norms, EU GVP modules 21CF are very important. So all these things we have to follow. Now, if you enter into a IT industry called, or you are supposed to skill in all those database. Like there are Argus Safety, which is widely used. Aries G was previously used, but I know the PVs are now being more shifted into these Argus Safety maximum. Previously, we worked on the Aries G. I worked in the AEREs as well, but right now widely used is a Argus Safety database. There's a Medra coding proficiency. You are supposed to know that how the Medra should be coded, how an event you can code it. Okay, an event you can code it by using the Medra dictionary. That is very important. Data entry and validation, how the Argus data entry looks like, how you can do the data entry and all these things. So these are the basic skill that is required when you enter, or when you're going for an interview, when you are going for a any kind of just enter into a PV professionals kind of any exam as well. So these Argus Safety, Medra coding proficiency, all these things. If you're doing any kind of an internship, you can definitely able to know on this. Now there's a scope of medical writing. So these are the different domains. Medical writing is a different domains. It is fall under the PV, but there are a separate team on that. So they are doing the medical writing where they are writing the ICSR, PSUR. So these are the report that we are supposed to submit it to regulatory authority. There are risk management plan. There are clinical study reports. The soft skill, which is most important, there is an effective communication. Without effective communication, nothing will go into work. Whatever knowledge you have, you know everything. You know a lot of pharmacology, anatomy, everything. But if you can't communicate it properly to your interviewers, or to your customer, or to your sponsors, you are not able to make them understand how much understanding you have on this background. So effective communication is very important. Also, there's a teamwork that is important. As you all know, that we can't do everything. We can't do as alone, right? We have to take a help from our team. We have to also, understand them as well, that who can help us, or maybe if anyone requires, so that I can help into them, so that the timeline we can meet the deadlines, we can meet the timeline. So effective communication, teamwork is important. Time management for the deadlines is also important. Whenever you will start working, you can understand how the deadlines are important in the PV, because there are cases that will come to us. Sometimes they are death, they are fatals. So those things have to be submitted to the health authorities, to the regulatory authorities by 7 days. So you have to consider those timelines into your head, so that you can prioritize your work. That whether you are going to going to do that work tomorrow, or you have to do the work by today itself. So these all are the things that you have to maintain. Now, these are the Indian pharmacovigilance landscape, because mostly we are work for the sponsors as well, who are from Europe, who are from USA, Japan, all these things. But these all are the Indian landscape. The CDSU, which is launched on 2010. There are some adverse event monitoring centers. We have the VigiFlow portal for the online ADR reporting. India is a member of the WHO as well. So these are the key regulation by this. These are the regulations that is followed by India, which is Drug and Cosmetic Act, Schedule Y, New Drug and the Clinical Trial Rules, CDSCO draft PV guidelines. And these all are the career opportunities that is currently present in the India, which is a drug safety associate. When you are interested into this pharmacovigilance field, you will being professionals as a drug safety associates, medical writing, signal detection specialist. You are jumping to regulatory reportings as well, aggregate reporting as well. PV auditors, PV consultant. I have seen my colleagues; they are working, start working as a PV professionals, as a case processing workers, but now they are entered into the aggregate reporting field. They are working as a regulatory reporting field. So there are a lot of field that you can explore when you just need to enter into this pharmacovigilance, and from there you can able to jump anywhere related to all these things. And these things are their job is very interesting, and you will not get bored like what I am doing. Sometimes we feel that what I am doing while I join this company, but will not feel like that. You will every day you are playing with the patient data. Every day you have to be serious in your work because you are dealing with the crucial data. So accordingly, you also get an opportunity in your domain so that you can explore all these fields like signal detections, aggregate, regulatory reports, medical writing, auditors as well. You can be fitted into the PV trainer as well. So these are the PV market growth. I just provide a graph over here so that you can understand that what are the PV job sectors is India. There are pharma MNCs, hospitals, consulting, all these things are there. Now, this is an essential PV tools. I have already been discussed. Just provide the name over here. The Argus Safety, which is used for the case management, and this is widely used, being for USA project, Europe project, or anywhere. This Argus Safety is widely used. The VG base also used for few of the sponsors who are very skeptical to follow their own database. So sometimes the sponsors or the companies are using the VG base. Ultravigilance also there for the European ADR. It is a mandatory for the MH reporting in EU, but we also, the Argus, have those all things so that it is manageable for the Europe ADRs as well. There is a FERS as well for the USFD. There is PVPI or the VG Flow for the Indian national ADR portals, and there is a MEDRA, that is a dictionary, this dictionary is there in the Argus Safety database as well. So you are supposed to know how to use the MEDRA coding dictionary. Now, this is a real world example why the pharmacovigilance come in picture. This is a thalidomide. It's called the thalidomide disaster that has happened for the severe birth defects, phocomelia for more than 10,000 babies. And their medication, the pregnant woman took in 1961, and the thalidomide, and that is caused for a birth defects. And all these in 2024, there is rofecoxy for the increase of the cardiovascular disease. For the AstraZeneca COVID vaccines, that is used for the signal detection, age-specific guidance. So for all this new drug which is coming to us for a patient safety, now you have to ensure that how safe the drug is. Now coming to the PV career roadmap, how you can start. So this is the foundation. I just mentioned it as a foundation because when you are doing a graduations in your BPharm, MPharm. So why I mentioned it as a MBBS, because I have seen in my project there is a MBBS doctors are there who acts as a medical professional who are doing the medical review to us, because for the medical review category only mostly the doctors, maybe it's a MBBS or the BDS, or maybe he or she can be a homeopath doctor. He can be explore these PV domains as a medical reviewer. So you can, whoever is from a pharmacy, or there are other companies as well who who actually give the opportunity to all the who are doing the graduates for the science background. Suppose anyone doing the BSc or the honors for any physiology or life sciences, like all these things. So they are also get opportunity on this. You can do some PV certificate courses as well. You have to learn METRA, you have to learn the ICH guideline 2421 CFR. So these are the skills. So except your academic knowledge, if you enter into these these professional courses and the professional fields, so you have to learn, you have to upgrade your skill by learn this MEDRA, ICH, 21 CFR, how the Argus looks like, so that whenever you are entering into explore your new field in the pharmacovigilance, they can understand that, okay, so this girl or he or she, he has a lot of he has a good amount of knowledge, he or she is a quick learner. So this is a very good thing that you will get identified by them, that you are a good learner. And this can be possible only when you upgrade your skills. Now, the junior privy professional, why I mentioned it as a junior privy professional, because when you are just if you have a fresher, or if you wanted to change a domain from another domain to this domain, so we have to start from the PV ICSR case processing, which we have to do in the Argus. So there we will hands on in the Arguses. You can process all those cases. So those things are doing by the general privy professionals. When you are a bit senior, then you are supposed to shift into the aggregate reporting or the signal detection management or planning the risk management. You are going to write this PSUR, DSUR, risk management plan. You can be entered into the audit and inspections fields as well. And then the senior PV leads, like from line manager to the more higher positions, they are doing the strategies, how these things will work, how we can submit it on time, how the whole team will work, how the regulatory negotiations are there. They are directly communicated with the leadership team or their health authorities. So all these things are doing by them. I am not typically mention all those, all these packages and all, because it will vary. It's your capacity, and there are some market standards. If you all are smart enough to do some, Google or something, you can able to know that what all are the mostly standard packages for all those things, so that you can prepare yourself. Also, in just Shreya ma'am has already been discussed detailed on all those packages and everything, so I'm not going to dig into all these things right now. Now we are at the very end at our session. So there is a key takeaways that we can follow. That pharmacovigilance, what is the aspects? Pharmacovigilance protect the patients by monitoring the drug safety post approval. Privy professionals should have the medical knowledge and the regulatory expertise and the IT skills that I mentioned. Like you have the knowledge in Metra, Argus, IDSG, VGBase, everything. India's PVPI has 470 plus MNCs, a strong national infrastructures. ADR reporting is growing in India as well. There's a high demand in the career opportunities in the hospital, CRO, in the pharma companies, in the IT sectors. They're really, really growing and blooming also. Real world example, you can see that why the pharmacovigilance actually provides a value, because of, you can already been seen that the birth defect and the other bleeding issues warfarin with the aspirin. So all these critical things the pharma company has to monitor. So this shouldn't be repeat again. They have to put some risk management strategy over this. There are master Medra ICH guideline, Argus safety provided in. I have already been discussing all this field. So this 30 minutes is not enough, because these all things are very, very, very vast, and you can't able to understand in a single webinar as well. Definitely, I will recommend you to enter to do any in any internship courses where you can able to know all these things, able to at least have some heads up on all these things, so that it will be easy when you're entering into a pharma industry or any PV industries. So that's all from my end. Any question I can take, any doubts or anything?
Ma'am, we have one question. They're asking what will be the starting salary in PV as a fresher?
So basically, see, it depends from if you're asking for Kolkata, then I cannot be in a confirm, but yes, there are currently right now the companies are providing some of, if I take you as a monthly, they can provide from 25-30. You can easily opt for this. And but yes, it's your being a fresher, you can't able to do some negotiations with the HR or something. But yes, the starting is like those, like you can definitely, it's a good for 25-30. Sometimes a few of the organization, if they have a good MNCs, they're giving more than 30s as well. But yeah, just considering from the lower end, because it's 25-30.
Hello, ma'am.
Any more doubts?
Yes, we have another question. They are asking to compare two opportunities. For example, if they get an opportunity of doing material vigilance internship under Indian Pharmacopoeia Council, and another opportunity is CDM in IT sector, which one they should choose?
Could you please repeat the question for me once again?
If you are comparing two opportunities of
Mhm.
internship, one is material vigilance internship under Indian Pharmacopoeia Council,
Mhm.
and another is clinical data management in IT sector in any MNC companies, which one they should choose?
So for MNC companies, what is the advantage? I will definitely I will recommend that it's being it's a very tricky question that if anyone has asked, and thanks for asking. So what, as per my understanding, what I feel that if you're doing some internship in the MNCs, you will get a more you will get a lot of lot of field that you can explore. It will increase your CV weightage, and whenever you are going for any interview, maybe it's in a Kolkata or outside it's in a Kolkata, then it will give a more attraction to the interviewer. So I will opt for the MNCs.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am, for your insightful session. I think they have no more questions. Thank you very much, ma'am. We now move on to our final section.
So much, everyone.
Yes, thank you. We now move on to our final session on clinical data management. Our speaker for this session is Ms. Pracheta Acharya, currently associated with IQVIA Kolkata. Ma'am holds an MPharm in pharmacology from BIT Mishra by qualifying GPAT. She successfully transitioned from academics into the clinical data management domain and is contributing to healthcare through data-driven clinical research and management. Her journey is an excellent example of how pharmacy graduates can build rewarding careers in the clinical research industry beyond the traditional pathways. We warmly welcome Ms. Pracheta Acharya. Ma'am, the virtual stage is yours.
Thank you, Arundhati, for such a lovely introduction. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon to all of you present. I'll just start sharing my screen and let me know if you can see me. I have just turned my camera, but somehow it's not showing. Okay, I guess. Let me just start sharing my screen. Just give me one moment. Let me just share the screen. Okay, I just started sharing the screen. Just let me know if it is visible.
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so good morning and good afternoon, everybody. Okay, so for today we have like industry ready skills for clinical data management. All of you might be in your, BPharm or MPharm courses. So you are quite familiar with the term like clinical trials. And as we recently had a COVID, so that time also many of you came across how the whole world was waiting for, some medications, vaccines, and probably the need of why we need to have clinical trials. So that was also a bit, you could have gained a bit of experience or knowledge or idea to why we should have certain skills or should we have certain procedures that to introduce a medicine to the market. Okay, because all of it are certain drug molecules that follow the process of drug discovery. After that, you cannot bring a molecule straight into the market and sell it to people, right? So you need to have some kind of medications which is to be taken either in the form of oral tablet or over the counter medications. So for that, we need to have a process. And so for that, we need to have clinical trials That too first in the animal models and then in human individuals. So here we'll be discussing only about human volunteers. So if we shift to the next slide, here you can see I've put up a picture as what are the phases in clinical trials before we dive into the CDM process. So basically, all of you know that trials are having phases from phase 0 to phase 4. Okay. So phase 0 is, you can tell, mostly your preclinical stages. And if anyone who is doing in pharmacology, so they might work on animal models, because when I was in my pharmacology masters, I had done these animal model procedures in during my masters. So that gives you a bit of idea that what actually happens in a clinical trial in humans. Like all we talk about the medications, efficacy, safety, the evaluations, but does that happen in real time process? It actually does happen, because we get to see, we get to do it with our own hands, we get that exposure also, so that we can see that yes, when you are putting that medication, no, be it IV, IP, subcutaneous, IM, whatever the route of administration is, but you can actually see that yes, that part of the disease of the affected area, that's in decreasing day by day, that's reducing day by day. So that gives you a ray of hope that yes, the medicine will be a better thing when it goes to the market. So that's like how your preclinical stages go. Next comes your phase 1, 2, 3, 4. One is will be testing the the dosage, I mean the dose amounts which we will be prescribing to the the patients or the subjects who will be in the process of the clinical trial. Next, they will be checking the same, your safety and the efficacy, your dosing, that it needs more reduction, more increase, it needs bi-weekly, it needs in a day 3 times, and what is the best way that we can give to the patient so that he or she gets the most benefit out of it. Okay. Next is will be your like in the phase 3 they will be testing some comparisons. So basically comparisons, I mean that in suppose in a clinical trial we have combination drugs, like we have A plus B, C plus D, or we have A plus C or B plus D. Okay, so that is what we call combination of drugs. As in we are not giving all together, we are giving one after the other or 1 plus 2. So that's how we can also check how much effectiveness or how much efficacy that particular combination is showing. Is it showing a better efficacy than a single given, or it is showing, in the combined process? So that's all about your phase 3. And phase 4 is your post-marketing surveillance, that the medicine is out in the market and it is being checked that how well people are responding to it, how well the sale is of the medicine. All these things we'll be checking in small bits and pieces in the post-marketing surveillance. Okay. All right. Now, if you have any questions, just put it in the chat box. We just take it at the end. Okay. All right. So now let's see, what does clinical data management mean and why did it come to the picture? Like, was there a need for clinical data management? Okay. So all of you should be aware that when you are going to appear for an interview, your educational knowledge is not only the only thing that is required when you sit at the table opposite to your interviewing person. Your many things are required. So when you are enrolling yourself in the pharmacy and TRX courses, they'll take care of each and every points which needs to be which a person needs to inculcate in himself or herself to be ready to face the other table side. Okay. So that's when it comes to picture like CDM. So basically CDM means clinical data management. So from the terms you can define, that it is a data which is related to clinical. Clinical means it is related to medicine. Medicine means it is related to patients. Patients are taking that medicine. They are giving certain kind of side effects. They are getting those. They are reporting those. As in, they're telling the doctors. They're telling the on-site people like CRA, CRC that, see, I'm having redness. I'm having headache. I'm having swelling. And having this body pain. Anything. It can be anything. Okay, so they are coming and reporting that. So what will the CRA, do by only listening to them? They need to get it documented somewhere. They need to get it written somewhere, right? So for that, we came up with some paper CRFs in the early times. Like there used to be a form kind of a thing which were handwritten and you have to fill it with pen and paper. So after some years, people came to a realization that this paper CRF is not working anymore. Because whenever a person is traveling from one side to the other, they have to carry all those bunch of papers. That's not feasible. So what can we do to improve the process? Then people came up with electronic data capture. That is, you'll be getting your laptops where you'll be seeing what all is happening in the clinical trial in a particular database. Okay, that is just like a library. You have so many books. Here it will be like that. It will be containing A to Z of the patient's details, the patient's medical history, the diseases, the dosage, the times of dosage, the collection time, when, at which date the patient is coming. All these things you will be getting to see. Okay. So next is your patient safety and evidence based. As in, our first and foremost thing will be that how much we'll be safeguarding the patient. Because if anything happens to the patient, then a trial will not go anymore. So we need to keep a check on that always. And as I have worked both in sponsors and I am right now working in CRO also. So, it's just like we get to see what happens when we work on full service providers, when we work with the core companies also. So it's just having a both way check. Okay. So all these things we get to see. And now people with the AI also, people are thinking that we will come up with some, just like we wear smartwatches, the patients will also be getting in the near future, they'll also be getting some kind of wearables, I mean devices like your smartwatches or some kind of immobile built apps, okay, where they'll be recording that, yes, I took this medicine, check. Yes, I'm not feeling well, check. So like these things we people are thinking to introduce and come up with so that the patients remain hassle free. So that's all about why CDM came to the picture. Now let's go to this one. As you can see here, that clinical data management process. So basically, how does the process start? So if any of you get to work in on site, as in hospital site, you get a better, a better exposure. So when we started working, so that time we used to get this, this part, that the documents, basically we call it as a protocol designing, protocol training. So all these things are written by medical writers. This is also a post. So for them, like medical writers, they will write the protocol. Okay. Before the protocol writing, also there will be a meeting where every people will be involved. They will be getting to know about what the trial is. After the protocol is finalized, then comes the process of making the CRFs, case report forms. That is, what will be the questionnaires? Like, did the patient come for visit? Yes or no? When did the patient come? The time. Did the patient take the dose? Yes or no? So, like this kind of questions will be there. That is what we see in the CRF. So, all these things after that, the database designer comes in process. That has nothing to do with CDM person. He is completely a different person who will be working as a team with the CDM team. Okay. So database designer will be designing the database. After that is complete, then it moves to CRA, CRC. They will be collecting the data from the hospital, like from the patients. After that, it again comes back to CDM team. We'll be checking that, reviewing between the protocol and the CRF. After that, again, we'll be going back to the CRC, stating that the issues which we as a CDM person found out. Okay. Next, they will check from their end that what is the issue, what is the problem. That comes under discrepancy management. And before that, we will be like reviewing means validating the data. What is present in the protocol is the same thing they have followed and added according to the protocol or not, or they have deviated from the protocol. Okay, so all these things we will do, and then we'll arrive at the stage of discrepancy management. Then comes the team of medical coding, who will be coding certain terms, as in, like suppose as a person, we know that fever, headache, body pain, these are very normal terms. But in the medical dictionary or in the WHO specified dictionaries, you will not get exact match for these terms. So this again has no relation with the CDM people. They will also be working as a team with the CDM team. Okay, so they will be coding according to the codes present in the dictionaries. After that is complete, we'll again be reviewing the data as the CDM. That's an ongoing day-to-day process. And once we give a green signal that yes, everything is complete, everything is on track, no missing, no issues, all are clean, then we'll go for the final stage, that is the database log. After that, we'll archive the data, we'll extract everything as the CDM team, and database logging is also done by the CDM team. After that, we'll move to phase 4, that is your post-marketing surveillance. Okay. All right. So that's how your CDM process flows. Okay. So basically, CDM, it is just like a huge volume of data, huge volume of clinical data. Because one trial, I have worked on oncology, I am currently working on neuroscience. One oncology trial means 4,000, 5,000, 10,000 patients. And the latest high volume I have worked with is 10,000 patients in an oncology trial. Okay. So, because cancer is a very vast disease, and around the world, we see many people are affected with it. So, also, expectations from us as the CDM people are also that we will also give our best that we can accelerate the drug delivery process. Okay. So that is how the CDM works. It will collect your data just like we discussed in the picture. We'll collect the data, we'll analyze everything, whether it's clean or whether you're having an issue. After that, we'll reach out the concerned teams, just like the hospital CRC people, and then we will release the drug in the markets once everything is clean. Okay. All right. So I'm not going in very much details for this particular slide as we already just discussed in this one. Okay, now let's see how the CDM will work. It's again almost the same thing, just a few points I have added here. That is here, if you clearly look at this point and think comparing these two pictures together, then you will see here we have some point called audit trails. Okay. That's a very important term because, audit happens in hospital sites, in studies. FDA, all of you are aware that about the US FDA also, I guess. So US FDA is a regulatory body, which is the last and also the first step in any clinical trial. Because when a protocol is made, we have to specify why we need 10,000 patients and not one patient, okay? And how many days the trial will be going on. What is the objective behind the trial? What are we contributing to the society? All these things we have to be very clear with. So everything will leave behind a footprint that what we have worked on, what we have changed, what we have made, that is called as your audit trail. So the reason behind putting this picture is just this point, because it was not present here. Okay, so audit trail plays a very important role in CDM. So you have to always be inspection ready, because anytime and every time every team can come and arrive at the clinical site and ask how the trial is going on. They might want to see how many patients have improved. So all these things comes in picture with the audit trails. Less rest all, it is the same thing. Okay. So your data will be collected, it will be validated, it will be entered, it will be stored, and then we will be cleaning the data to check if it is, like just having everything clean, no missings, no discrepant data, no issues, anything. So all these things. After that, we'll be doing the query management, and last is your audit trail. The data export will be done when before the database lock happens. Okay. So all these things comes in picture. All right. Now let's look into what are the roles you will be having if you get assigned as a CDM people. Okay, so first your role will be starting with study startup and designing. Like how will you make a clinical trial run? That falls under your study startup. Okay, that is from designing the protocol to designing the subjects to designing how many subjects you will require, what will be a dosage, and how long the trial will be going on. What are your criteria, the inclusion exclusion criteria, the screen fail criteria, the death criteria, all these things, like many, many things. What are the side effects you are thinking it can happen? So all these things we have to keep in mind. Okay. Next is your collection and cleaning. Okay. The collection and cleaning stage we discussed. Then is your query management. Next is your database log, and the next is your documentation and compliance. Compliance is just a similar term to inspection readiness. Okay. So all these things. All right. Next is your CDM workflow, as in how the data flows. It's a very simple process. Like suppose when a patient is having fever and they go to the hospital to show the doctor, to discuss with the doctor, okay, and that doctor is a part of a clinical trial, okay. So the doctor can suggest the patient that if you want, you can enroll yourself in a clinical trial. You'll be getting benefited for the disease you are coming to interact with me. That medicines, tests, and everything. We'll take care of everything. Okay, and the patient tells that yes, I'll be ready. So then the next step is the patient goes and meets with the CRA, CRC. They makes him or her explain about the full process. Okay. After that, if the patient is ready to sign in for the clinical trial, then they will be screened. There are various criteria which we will look into the patient, that if he or she is meeting those criteria. And if they are passing that screening phase, next is this randomization. They will be randomly assigned to a treatment group, because in many trials it happens there are 4 to 5 drugs which are tested together. So maybe same kind of a drug molecule. So 4 to 5 drugs together it is tested, and sometimes one drug. So if that patient will be randomly assigned to a drug molecule, okay, and then his journey starts. After that, he will be enrolled, as in his name will be confidential. He'll be given a name as in a subject ID, combination of alphabets and letters. Okay. So all these things we will be just checking. After that is completed, it will be the data entry process starts. After the data entry is done, then same thing, just like the data cleaning. After that, the medical codes. After that, the database lock happens. So it's more or less the same thing which we were discussing in all 3 slides, just a detailed review. Okay. All right. So next is these are certain industry tools which we as a CDM person work on a daily basis. So it is called as Oracle Health Science and Medidata Rates. I have worked on both of them. So it is nothing to be thinking what is this. It's very easy, very user friendly, just like how we use the smartphones. So smartphones or iPhones, just similar to that. You have apps here, you'll be seeing patient data there. Similar, it just very much similar. Okay. And next is your data standards, which is now in trend basically. So we have just like the certain data standards like CDISC, basically we follow for clinical trials. Statistics people will follow SDTM tool. And another one is ADA. Okay, that is also another data model. All right. So all these things we will see in the key industry tools. Next is some kind of skills. Let us talk about that, what we need to be getting selected as a clinical data manager. First is your educational background, that you can come from a B Farm, you can come from a M Farm, you can come from a BSc, MSc, you can come from BTech Biotech, also MTech Biotech. Not that much they hire. So, but these are the main domains from where they look, where pharmacy plays a vital role and the important role. Okay. So so the skills also they will be working. Like the skills, you'll be focusing mainly on your soft skills. And next, obviously, we all know about the salary. So that is the three important factors which will be involved when you get assigned as a CDM people. So the skills we'll just be discussing in the next slide. Okay. So the skills basically we require it is sorry. So the skills basically we required is you have to be very much attentive while you work. You cannot, just play around with your work because you're dealing with the patient's live data. So that's a very serious thing. You have to be very much careful while you work, and you have to notice each and every small points. Then you have to maintain a very good communication. You have to be very good with your words, as in if you're trying to convey someone something, you have to make them understand by what you communicate. Okay, that's a very basic thing which in freshers interviewers look for. How well are you with your speaking power? Okay, so that's a very important thing. So you can collaborate with people as you go to offices. So that's a very important thing. Next comes project management in a bit higher level, not immediately, but yeah, they can ask you how do you want to go ahead with your career. You can tell that I want to work as a lead. I want to lead the projects, lead the clinical trials. That falls under your project management. Okay. Next is your effective communication and a critical thinking process. Yeah. Critical thinking is something which we nowadays, whenever we are also training our juniors, we also look towards that. Okay. How much critically you can think. As in, like for an example, a patient had taken paracetamol, okay, for the body pain he or she was having or for fever. Okay. So the patient reports in the form, as in they go and report to the CRA/CRC, they record it in the form. So it is indirectly reporting in the form. So we have to think that why did the patient take paracetamol for fever? Did he only have fever, or did he have any other symptoms associated with fever? We need to check on that also. Okay. Sorry. So, yes, next is your problem solving ability. There can come a time when extreme workload is there, and also you have a critical timeline coming up that you need to finalize everything. You need to check for the completeness of the data, the accuracy of the data, everything. So, that is when we call it critical thinking and problem solving combined together. We also have to work in that way because right now the trial I am working with, so my trial has a database lock on 23rd June, and I am having another study that is also having a lock in a few weeks. Okay, so I have to manage my time. I have to think how well I can do it so that the data is inaccurate, there is completeness in everything, no mistakes, no issues, no errors. I am that much thorough with my work. You have to work in that way. Okay? All right. So these are certain designations which you can see here. First comes is your clinical data manager, which right now I am in the that like role, which we call every person who is associated with CDM is a clinical data manager. Okay, just the tags come like junior, senior, associate, all these things. Next is your database programmer, as in who will be creating the system which you see on the screen when you switch on your laptop. Next comes your CDC. They are the person seated in the hospital. Next comes your medical coder who will be coding fever, headache, these terms. Next comes your CRA. This person is also from the on-site hospital. Next comes your principal investigator. He will sign off the documents. When a trial or when a form is complete, last signature which you see will be of this principal investigator. All right. Next is your CRC, Clinical Research Coordinator, again from the site. Next is biotechnician. Okay. They can work with CDM. They can work with stats team who will be, visualizing the data in a pie chart, in a graph, in a curve forms, in many kinds of things. They will be visualizing the data. Like what we see in the form, they will see in diagrams. That's the basic difference. Next is your medical writer. So he also plays a very important role because they will be writing the protocol. If you don't write a protocol, a trial will not happen. So his role is also very important. All right. Next is your industry and career scope. All of you are very much keen to know that what scope you will be having. So CDM is a very booming, industry. Not industry, I would say. It's a very booming trial because if we don't test medicines, we cannot give patients medicine. If we cannot give patients medicine, they will have sufferings. And just like how we, in the process which we are currently working right now, so it just feels like if we don't work properly, a company cannot release its drug to the market. If we don't release medicines to the market, patient will remain patient only. He'll not become a healthy person. Okay. So that's a need for CDM. That why you need to join CDM or why you need to choose your career as a CDM. And yeah, there are hiring drives all around, but less as in comparison to other sectors of clinical research like PV or other medical writing and things, because CDM requires a bit of expertise in your education, in your skills, in everything. They check every point of a person when they do the interview. Not only how much knowledge you carry, how well you are to manage the team, how well you are to work in difficult situations. Okay. So every point they will check. So when we joined as a fresher, they ask very basic, very simple questions. As in many persons I have seen taking interviews, they just will ask your name and what's your career objective, and the next day you get your offer letter. So they will talk with you for 1 minute and they'll understand whether I'll take him or not. So that's the thing. So you talk less, you talk more, does not matter. You have to be very much communicative with what you're trying to tell. And so the hiring sectors basically are CRO companies. You have bit more in CRO companies. Then you also have core companies like your sponsors. CRO as in you can try for, Wipro, then you can try for IQVIA, you can try for TCS, Accenture, Icon, Parexel, Thermo Fisher, all these companies, Cineos, they fall under your CROs. Okay. Why do we call them CRO? Because they are not your full service providers. They come under third party payrolls. Your payroll will be associated with the company who is hiring you, but you will be working on the project for another company. You will not be working for IQVIA, but you will be working for Johnson and Johnson. Just like now, I work in IQVIA, but I work with a Johnson and Johnson project. So just like that, okay. So, but when I was working with Pfizer, I used to only work for Pfizer, not any other companies. So that's the difference between these two. And for core companies, we have Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Novartis, Novo Nordisk, then Lilly, then you have Sanofi, then you have Regeneron, then you have Amgen, all these companies, and like you have to be very much open to moving out also. Because if anyone has that kind of mentality that no, I want to stay back where I have done my education. I don't want to move out. Then it becomes a bit problematic because not all good companies give you the liability to work from home. They want you to come on site, and they want you to have an interaction. They want you to understand how working means. They want you to give a feel of live meetings, meeting the people who run the companies. All these things also have a good prospect, I would tell. So, because when we were in Pfizer, those things used to play a very important role rather than working regularly. Your interactions, you're talking, you get to know so much more from them. So that's all. And salary expectations you can keep as per the location, not as per the role differently, but more on as per the location. All right. Okay. So that's how your career ladder goes. Your junior, associate, then here comes lead role, then here comes project management role, AD, then VP, then CEO. All right. So just this picture comes up with building a strong base. Your fundamentals should be very clear, very strong, so that you can work on things. After that, you when you go to a company, they give you very good trainings. As a fresher, as experience, both the people will receive trainings. Okay, so that's all about senior. Now I'll just be open to questions and stop sharing.
I think we have one question, ma'am. They asked, is it necessary to have experience in these opportunities, or there are opportunities for freshers also?
Yeah, definitely. When I also started, I was a fresher only. So yeah, freshers are always welcome. You don't need to have any kind of experience for that. You can apply after completing your master's or bachelor's. You can apply for the positions you want to. Always keep your LinkedIn in check. So that's where you get to know about the companies.
Okay, I think there are no more questions. Thank you, ma'am, for this providing such valuable insights into the clinical data management. It was very informative session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Arundi. Everyone.
Yeah, thank you. But I just want to conclude one thing from the Procheta ma'am's slide and also from the Preeti ma'am's slide. So one thing is very, very important that you should have the proper knowledge now. When I was graduating, I have completed my BPharm degree in 2017. So there was not that much of competition. In one interview, there were the students of the 20, 30, 40, 50. But nowadays, in an interview, there is a student of 2,000, 3,000. So I think there are some questions that why I need to improve myself skill or the improve the knowledge, because in the 2000 student they will take the 10 student. That was the in that time 2017, from the 15 student they have taken the 10 students. So now the competition is high, so you should know everything from every angle. They can ask you the question, and your preparation will be for the interview, not for the professional purpose. So that's why it's very important to know every corner of the things what is associated with all these things. That is the first thing. And second thing is that communication skill that should be proper. Without communication skill, no company will hire you. I'm telling you from my last few years experience, communication skills is very, very much important. And nowadays, obviously from Pucharam's side, Pucharam's that presentation that I got, that communication skill and critical thinking, very important nowadays. Critical thinking, not they are not hiring you if you are the ordinary one, so you should be one for the perfect for the job. And nowadays it's very difficult. I talk with the many CEO, many manager, HR, that we are not getting any perfect candidate. So what is the definition of the perfect candidate? Nowadays student want candidate want that I will stay from home and I will earn the lakhs of the money. Practically it is impossible. It is possible if you are the hard worker. So not that much of not that of the talent is needed. Need only the hard working with the dedications, and you should have the knowledge of a critical thing. You will be able to do the critical thinking power, as well as the communication skill will be good. So these are the criteria one student, one candidate, those who are appearing for the interview, that is needed. So that's all from my side. So all the best students, and also we'll share the details of the course, those who want to enroll. And those, obviously the course is not the compulsory, the knowledge is the compulsory. So from where you are, from anywhere, if you want to gain the knowledge, that's all. So you can get the knowledge and crack the interview. All the best from our side. Thank you. Over to Arundhati.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. As we come to the end of the today's webinar, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all our esteemed speakers. Thank you for sharing your expertise, experiences, and valuable guidance with our participants. Today's session have provided meaningful insights into the clinical research, clinical data management, and pharmacovigilance, three important pillars of the healthcare and pharmaceutical industry. The certificates will be provided to you shortly, starting from tomorrow. If you have any query regarding the clinical research, clinical data management, and pharmacovigilance job, you can directly contact our experts by sending your query to the given number in the chat box, that is 790-858-4218. I repeat once more, 790-858-4218. I would also like to thank every participant for their enthusiastic presence and active engagement throughout the program. A special thanks to the entire Pharmagen DRX team and everyone working behind the scenes to make this event successful. We hope today's webinar helps you to take a step closer towards becoming industry-ready professionals. Thank you all once again. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.